think when the founding fathers got going here in the United States, they thought to themselves, let's see what we can do to really mess stuff up for the people in the year 2012? No. So, when you know that sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs, then your very next conclusion, as it was with the United Nations, is yes, indeed. Everything we're doing right now does compromise the ability of future generations to meet their needs. And what are we going to do about it? So the General Assembly said to that World Commission on Environment and Development, they said, will you come back in 5 years with the action plan, with the blueprint for sustainable development? And they said, yeah, sure. And they did. And here it is. This is Agenda 21. This is the document. It is Earth Summit, Agenda 21, the United Nations Program of Action from Rio de Janeiro. It's 300 pages. It's 40 chapters. You can get it on un.org if you want to pay the United Nations 25 bucks. And it, in fact, is a green mask. This is one of the reasons I called my book Behind the Green Mask. This itself is a green mask. It is the inventory and control plan. So here's the Secretary General of that commission, of the World Commission of Environment and Development, Maurice Strong, right? 1992, Maurice Strong. This is before he had to run out of the United States for the oil for food scandal, right? He said, this is what he said was unsustainable. You're unsustainable, I'll tell you that. The middle-class lifestyle, the affluent middle-class lifestyle that you and I and every American aspires to is unsustainable. Single-family residences, private vehicles, appliances, air conditioning, meat eating, livestock, tillage, and that's just a few things, dams. Somebody's going to use that water. This is, well, what is it? This is an attack on us. There's no question about it. This is an attack on rural people, on suburban people, on middle-class people, on Americans, on free people worldwide. Now, it involves economics, housing, transportation, land use, health, water, energy, food production, and population control. China was one of the signatories to Agenda 21, which is not a treaty, it is an agreement, right? They signed on to it, and you know what? They have their own Agenda 21, like every country does that's signed on. And in theirs, they have a population control clause. They're working on a population, on a sterilization vaccine with the United States. So I know you want to see this. This is the image of Agenda 21. And you can probably see this. This is 3 concentric circles, not concentric. They're 3, it's like a Venn diagram. There are 3 circles. It's environment or ecology, economy, and equity, social equity. And when they're in balance, where they're in balance in the center, that is sustainable development. That's when everything's in balance, right? Economy, ecology, and equity, social equity. Okay, right. What is that? So, what you're going to see is this, everything is to be in balance. No one's to have more than anyone else. Okay? Now this is based on the precautionary principle. And for those of you who have concerns about climate change and feeling that, you know, perhaps it's not exactly what they say it is, okay? Here you go. Here's why it doesn't matter if you say, I've got 10 scientists here. I have 100. No, I've got 1,000. No, I've got 10,000. I have 20,000 scientists who say there's no such thing as anthropogenic global warming. No, I have 50,000, right? Well, here's why it doesn't matter. The precautionary principle. That is principle number 15 principle number 15 of Agenda 21, and it says, if an action or a policy has a suspected risk of causing harm, a suspected risk of causing harm to the public or the environment, in the absence of scientific consensus that the action or policy is harmful, the burden of proof that it is not harmful falls on those taking the action. How about that, huh? You're guilty until proven innocent. In the European Union, that is compulsory. It makes law. In the United States, it is called the precautionary approach, and it just makes policy, supposedly. So this is a global plan. It's implemented locally. And in 1992, when it was signed on to by George H.W. Bush and 178 other leaders, it was a soft law. Soft law. It was not ratified by our Congress and did not need to be. Very first thing that Clinton did, Clinton took office, he was elected in November, January he took office. 6 months later, in June of 1993, he created the President's Council on Sustainable Development. The sole purpose of that was to implement United Nations Agenda 21 in the United States. That was the sole purpose of this. And when people say to you, when they mock you, when they shame you, when they write their little lies in the mainstream press and they say, this is a non-binding agreement. How could this possibly have any impact here in the United States, right? You've seen that, haven't you? This is how. Not only the fact that when a president signs on to an agreement, what he's essentially doing is saying that the United States will not do anything to block that agreement. But the President's Council on Sustainable Development, implemented solely, created solely to implement Agenda 21 here in the United States, was made up of 12 cabinet-level secretaries, right? 12 federal agencies: HUD, EPA, Education, Environment, Commerce, Interior, Defense, right? Transportation. The sole purpose of this was to have all of those federal agencies change their policies to bring them into compliance with United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development. Who else was on the President's Council Sustainable Development? The captains of industry, many of them, including Ken Lay. Ken Lay from Enron was on the President's Council on Sustainable Development. Also the PG&E, Dow Chemical, many others. In addition, you had non-governmental organizations, nonprofits like the Nature Conservancy, the World Wildlife Fund, the World Resource Institute, the Sierra Club, okay? That's who was there. I don't think you were there. You didn't even know that this was going on, but it was. That was back in 1993. So the first thing they did, and this is important to know because this is how it got in, this is how it came in to your city, to your town, wherever you live, no matter how small your town is. It's not like it's coming. It's there. Okay? So this is how it happened. In 1993, the President's Council on Sustainable Development, they went to the American Planning Association, a private group, and they said, hey, can you guys do us a favor? Can you come up with a way that we can get this into every single town, city, county, state in the entire United States? Can you write us a land use book that we can get this into everywhere? And they said, sure. And it took them about 6 years, but they came up with it. It's called Growing Smart, Legislative Guidebook with model statutes for planning and the management of change. Now, I didn't bring the whole book because it weighs 12 pounds. They got this into every single university, every college, every planning department in the entire United States. And what is it? It's model statutes for planning. So when you go to your council or you go to your county commissioners and they come up with some new ordinance, some new statute, some new law, some new rule, they are not making that up. They're getting it out of a box. of rules, whether it comes from this group or another one. They are not writing these laws themselves. So, fine, by the year 2002, this book was in every single university. All your planners are being trained with it, okay? 2002, everybody's been trained in it, right? Well, 2002 was around the time that I saw that there was a planning revolution going on, that there was something really big happening. Now, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, and I was a government appraiser. I testified. I was an expert witness. I just retired. I was an expert witness in land use and land valuation for the government, for the Department of Transportation. So if you were having your property taken by the government, somebody has to say how much it's worth. That was me. So when I'd go into planning departments and I would see that, hey, it's pretty darn hard to say what somebody's property is worth when I don't know what they can do with it. In fact, it doesn't seem like they can do anything with it by right. In fact, that planning department appears to be there to stop people from using their property. And so I had a lot of exciting adventures, getting 86'd out of planning departments, thrown out, told not to come back, because I was kind of loud in there. I was kind of yelling in there. I got applause in the planning departments, okay, from people who were sitting there trying to get something going on their property. So, okay, your government knew that you weren't going to be too happy about this. They said, hey, what's going to happen when people wake up and realize that this is now a dictatorship? We don't want them to get excited about it. We don't want them to feel that they have no power. What are we going to do? They've commissioned another book. It's called Sustainable America, A New Consensus. Now, you know what consensus is. Real consensus is all of us together here, get together, and we have something we're talking about doing. And we work it out. Everybody gets a voice. We all work it out. Everyone discusses it might take all night. It could take days to agree to something. That is real consensus. Agreement of all parties, right? That's real consensus. But hey, we've got a new consensus, right? Sustainable America, a new consensus. What's that mean? Neutralization of the opposition. Neutralizing your enemies. Neutralize and convert. So when you go to those visioning meetings that are put on by your government, you know those visioning meetings, come on down. Give us your opinion of Spokane 2040, right? We want to know what you think, about what we're going to be doing with the center of your town. We want you, come on down. We're going to give you your crayons. You're going to sit at those little tables and color with your gold stars, your clicker. You got your clicker. You're going to be voting. Oh, I like what hey, do you want business as usual? That's where you live. Do you want sprawl? Is that an ugly word? Sprawl. Do you want sprawl? That's where you live. Or do you want planned future? Planned future. Oh, I love it. Planned future. That's what you want. So here's how they did this. Because they need so-called community buy-in. Never have so many people been solicited for their opinion and been so ignored. And this is the way they do it. This is the new consensus, okay? Neutralize and convert. So it does not allow for dissent. And what is it? It is a mind control technique developed by the Rand Corporation post-World War II, a Cold War technique designed to bring groups of people to a predetermined outcome while giving them the impression that it was all their idea.